What is going on, everyone? Happy Monday. Been having some computer glitching, so it may be a little choppy. If it is, I'm going to switch cameras and we'll make it happen. So hope everyone's having an amazing Monday, getting the week started right. Apologies on the delays. I'm still trying to, my computer is starting to finally fill up, after like a couple of years. So like you forget about all that shit that you have to do to kind of keep it functioning right. So I've had to think about that stuff in a long, long time. So hope everyone had a great weekend. Hope everyone's enjoying. I guess we had a crazy yesterday. I don't know if you all know this or not, but we got about 3 inches of snow in Austin. And so it's still on the ground. My kids went out and made a snowman today. So go check out Instagram. If you don't follow me here, let me go hop in. I'll go ahead and drop it in the comments for you. Go follow my Instagram if you want to see some fun stuff. If you want to watch snow in Austin go down, you can follow my IG there. So let's see here. Let's make sure it's all rendering properly. All right, let's see. Okay, it should be pulling up here shortly. Hopefully all of you can see me now. Good morning, everyone. Check out my IG. Here you go. It's Jake_Dunlap_. Go ahead, click that for a quick follow. No, I think that the snow in Austin was literally like once every 50-year type of deal. So it was pretty awesome, though. I'm not going to lie. Nathan, of course you had snow in Toronto. Patrick, I'm surprised. Yeah, I guess y'all probably didn't get it down in Houston. So it was pretty good. Let's see who else we've got here. We've got Nathan. What's going on, Nathan? Paula, always a pleasure. Anna, what's up, Anna? Rose. All right, I love it. So today I figured I'd talk about, I'm going to do maybe like 20, 30 minutes or so. I want to try to bring I've been very active on Clubhouse this last week. If y'all aren't on Clubhouse, let me know. It's pretty amazing. But the thing that crushes it with that is it's interactive. What sucks about LinkedIn Live is, it's like I can't interact with you all, kind of. In the comments I can. But I want to be able to interact more. So what I want all of you to do is I'm going to talk about my path. I'm going to try to open it up if people have advice too, to just drop it in the comments as well. It would be fun to make this a little more interactive than I think a lot of this is where I'm just like peppering you. So if you want, start dropping some of your career questions for me in the comments. Just drop in there like, hey, I'm at X level. I'm trying to get to Y level. Any thoughts, etc. I thought, look, I'll get it started just by I'll probably over the course of the next 30 to 45, I'll kind of tell different parts of the journey. But the first thing I'll do is I'll talk about maybe my move from individual contributor to leader, and kind of what I did there and what I learned. And then I think, look, for a lot of you, you're going to get out of this next 30, 45 minutes what you put into it. So the more interaction and comments I see and questions, the more I'm going to be into it. I want people to go ahead and share their story. So what I want to kind of throw out to people here is like, the question I have now is like, number one tip on the move from rep to leader. Drop your advice here. I know we got a lot of reps here, so others can learn. So I'll talk about my journey and what worked for me. So I got promoted to like a team lead position before, but I don't really count that. But basically I was 26 years old. I was at a company called Career Builder, which used to be a big, one of the largest job sites. It's more of a tech company now. And I went and met with my director. My director was my boss's boss. So I was a rep, frontline rep, 26. And I go into my boss, or my director, my boss's boss, and I say, hey, I want to be a leader. That's my goal, right? And I want to be in leadership. I've done this for a while. I think I've put in the work, etc. And what Evan did is he looked me dead in the eye. And this, I mean, I can almost put myself there if I close my eyes. He goes, Jake, leadership is not a goal. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Of course it's a goal. You know, like of course it's a goal that leadership is. And he said, he's like, leadership isn't a goal because I control it. I choose to promote you. Therefore, it can't be your goal. And for me, it was like, whoa, what do you mean? He's like, well, let's talk about the things that you can control that will put you in that position. One, are you hitting your activity stuff every day? Are you setting a good example for the team? Two, are you doing mentorship? Are you trying to work with other people and help and support your leader on their initiatives? Number three, the least important part, I'm just going to put this like, you know, so one of my tips here is like hitting your number is the prerequisite to even be considered. Okay. Oh God, me trying to spell this. I'm just going to put qualifier to be considered. And so this to me was a really eye-opening moment. Okay. And I'm going to tell you about what ended up happening. I'll tell you kind of what happened is, so then it just changed my whole framework. And I think part of getting moved into leadership is it becomes more and more about managing up. And so then I knew what he was looking for. And, you know, Evan was a good leader, you know, like he was a good guy. He was a good leader. But then I knew what he was looking for. So then guess what I did? I beat everybody in activity every single day. If I got in early, I stayed late. Right? I hit my sales numbers. Again, hitting your sales numbers is the qualifier, not the prerequisite, not the prerequisite too. Okay. I started to lead trainings for my team every other week on a topic. I worked with my leader to do that. Then let me tell you what happened. 3 months in, my leader got fired. Happens. I've been fired multiple times. I'll talk about that too. If any of you have been fired, you're nervous, you're scared, I'll try to ease your concerns. And I've been at the company for 4 months now, grand total of 4 months. And the other woman who was interviewing had been at the company for 2.5 years and had relocated from Chicago to Phoenix to help to open this office. So new hire at 4 months, seasoned rep, 2.5 years, who had also taken the time to relocate because she would be the next leader. I got the job, okay? And let me tell you why I got the job. This person had more total sales numbers than me by far. You managed your own accounts at Career Builder. So, you know, she'd built up a book of business. She'd done a great job. So her sales numbers were technically better than mine, right? But activity, she'd been there for a while, wasn't very high. Like helping and mentoring, occasionally. But the thing that put it over the top, so this is like to get the job, with a business plan. Let me tell you what I did. You know, shit, hold on a second. I found this thing. We did work on my home office. I found this thing, okay? So I will do I'll like post it somewhere. But anyway, I put together a business plan. And then I put together a list of recommendations from the people I was going to lead. So imagine this, I'm interviewing, and we had the Pacific Northwest. I went and looked up market trends in key industries in every single state that we managed. So here's where I'm going to focus our vertical. I put that together. I then went and put together a top accounts in our region that are undervalued. I then went to my coworkers. These are my teammates. And I got each one of them to write a paragraph for me. And I handed that to the hiring manager. Hey, here you go. Oh, you want to know what I'm about? Here's what I'm going to do. Whenever I get this job, I'm going to do this. People come into these interviews, they start winging it. I had the information, I had the data. I didn't need to wait to put together a 90-day plan. I came in there with one. And I think too often, hey, what's up, Craig? Just saw you popped in. Hope you're doing great, man. I didn't have to explain. Like I handed him the business case. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, here. And here's what my coworkers, the people I'm going to now be leading, have to say about me. And I did that all proactively. I think too many people, and just so you know, I got 2 other sales jobs before that by doing the same thing. I was trying to go to be a senior account executive. I put together a business plan. It wasn't very long. I got the job. When I went to Phoenix to work for the Coyotes, it was a group interview of 35 people. I was the only person that got hired. 35 people. I was the only one. Guess who was the only person that came with a business plan for how to help sell hockey in Arizona and how to compete against the Phoenix Suns? Me. Right? And I'm not saying that these business plans were the only reason that I got these jobs, but they certainly helped me to stand out. And so I want a lot of you, again, keep your career questions coming. I've had a few people kind of message me here. But again, that was my path. That was my path to leadership. And then I'll fast forward to, how I became a VP and all of that. But I want to take a couple questions here. So I'm just going to wait here. I know we've got some account executives in here. I know we've got some business development folks in here, but I want to start to take a couple questions from here. Chris, I see here, best experience of my life. Again, kind of that move into leadership. I agree 100%. I think what I saw happening at that company, Career Builder, I saw reps shy away from leadership because they made less money. I saw it happen. I saw leaders who were like, hey, why would you want to go into leadership? You're going to make more money doing this. Made me sick to my stomach. But I think a lot of reps at times shouldn't, just because you're good at sales doesn't mean you're going to be good at leadership. So you don't have, and by the way, leadership's not the only path either. You don't even have to go into leadership. You can become an amazing sales rep. What's up, Newton? All right, Newton's a business development manager. All right, we got a mix of folks in here. But again, drop the questions. I know you have questions. You're like, oh my gosh, if I put it out there, what will happen? But again, it's much more fun for me when I see the questions come in. If not, I just talk about other things. So the other thing is I'm going to talk about another point here. So the next thing I'll talk about is the move. Talking about, so I didn't have to make this move, but I've promoted a bunch of people and been involved in hundreds and hundreds of these. So I think I can talk somewhat intelligently about it. Talking about the move from SDR to AE. This is another one that I get asked a ton, is about, hey, I was a sales development rep, or how do I move into the account executive role? And for me, the easiest way that I can think about this for every job, it's the same thing for the leadership job. You have to start to do the job that you want in your current role. So if I was an SDR and I was performing, even if I was performing okay, I would go to my boss and I'd say, look, I want to make the move to account executive. Right now, I'm only doing this. What I'd like to be able to do is to take a little bit more of the discovery process, just like a little bit more detail. I'll get one of the AEs or my pod member or somebody to help me with the first 5 or 10. I won't do them solo. So then I can start to practice those skills to move into a sales rep. Most leaders are going to tell you yes, right? Or I'd go to that sales leader, because again, guess what? Your boss isn't going to promote you. That sales leader is the one who's going to hire you. So go to that sales leader or the sales leaders at your company and say to them, hey, what are the top things you need to see to get promoted? Stop talking to your own boss. Your own boss isn't the one who promotes you. Go start to talk to the account executive leaders. They're the ones who are going to promote you. So again, some things I want you all to think about. So for that move, the move from SDR to AE, that to me would be the one. Kyle, there we go. Kyle Taylor hopping in, making it happen. Kyle, shout out. You might win question of the day. I don't know what the prize is yet. I'll have to think it up. But keep the questions coming. You've got to dethrone Kyle now. This is a good question. But again, so for my SDRs, my number one advice here, start doing the job now, especially with COVID. Oh my gosh. Guys, if I was an SDR now during COVID, I wouldn't even have that conversation. I would just start taking the discovery calls. I would just get them I would just do the disco. And then I'd start to learn. I'd have an AE train me on how to do a demo. And then I'd start to do a demo. Like, you don't get picked for the role and then up level. Stop up leveling now so then you hit the ground running and you crush the competition, right? So that would be my piece of advice is start to do the job now. You want to be in enterprise sales? Great. Go start trying to tackle bigger accounts. You want to be in a VP? Great. Go get 2-3 VPs as mentors. So anyway, all right. Kyle Taylor's question. Kyle wins. Man, you know what? I'm going to take a break here in 1 second. I'm going to go get, I think I told you all, I might have a little Easter egg for you today. For those of you, I'm going to talk about this later too, but for those of you who don't know, on the 21st, so in a week and a half, which is wild, we are doing a completely new rebrand, a completely new website, and completely new messaging around Skaled. And so I'm going to enlist all of you to help on the 21st. I've got a call to action that I need all of you to share, just to raise awareness around the future of sales, which is really what I'm trying to do, what my company is trying to do, is really create the future of sales. You know, create a world where, you know, we elevate the profession of sales. We have better interactions with our customers. It's less predicated on manipulation, and some other things. So get ready, the 21st, mark it on your calendar. All right, Kyle Taylor. And then Paola coming in hot with a question. I love it. Keep the questions coming. And by the way, I also want to encourage this. If any of you have a take on this, like I would love for all my leaders out there, I want you to commit to helping out Kyle too. Just drop, if you can, just drop one sentence there about what the mental change was for you, because I'm just one person. So for me, it's different, right? So if anyone's out there, you see Kyle's question, you've been in leadership, what your mental change was, you're not, you know, you're helping people. So I'd really encourage you to do that. Okay. So mental change for me when I moved from AE to leadership. I know what it was. So I had learned the sales process that we use very, very, very well. I would say I was, even though I'd only been there for a little bit, it kind of fit into my natural salesmanship really easily. I was so lucky, and I can't tell you how lucky I was in retrospect. I think tech companies today do a horrendous job, and I mean not bad, horrendous job of developing leaders. You see all this training for new hires, for SDRs and account executives, and then sales leadership, brand new leaders get put through like nothing. I mean, most tech companies with like 100 reps or less, their leadership training program is a complete fucking joke. And so I was lucky. That was not my experience. I was able to go through a formal leadership development program. And one of the things that I learned was about how to have goals one-on-ones. And the biggest leap for me, so Kyle, this is for you, is the biggest leap for me was, let me just type it in here. Biggest leap was, and I'd like to type it in here so people, if they read it later, they can come do it. Biggest leap was understanding if you take care of the person, the numbers take care of themselves. That was my biggest learning, is that I was very, very lucky to have, I learned this. I didn't know that was a thing. They taught me how to have goals meeting with all of my people. And so I just did what they told me to do. And then I realized that if I took care of the person, I understood their goals, what motivated them. And I tried to be the person to help them get there, the numbers would take care of themselves. And the whole managing the pipeline and deal, I already knew, I knew that would be a part of it. But for me, this was my big one, my big takeaway. John Blake chimed in. Thank you, John. Appreciate you. Make your boss aware. Yes. Ask them what you need. Yes, exactly. So John's giving you all the exact same advice. I can't, but again, but actually here, John and Craig, I want to add to your comments, because your manager being aware actually isn't good enough. It's your boss's boss that has to be aware, or the manager in the other division, because you're managing to their expectations, not just your bosses, because it's their expectations that decide if you get promoted. And so my feedback would be, your boss is aware is a checklist. Where most people stop is make sure your boss's boss, if you're moving into leadership, or if you're moving into a different division, make sure you know their priorities. What do they care about? What do they want? Because they are the ones promoting you, not your boss. So that goes back to kind of, again, that story I told you is a skip level. That was my boss's boss who told me his expectations, and I managed those expectations, So that was my big thing. So again, I'd love to hear any other leaders out there, just any other, shares that you had, about that move. I think it's a really powerful one for a lot of people. And I think the really cool part, what I like about my advice, John's advice is, we're telling you all that it becomes more and more about managing up and managing other people's expectations, not just being good at the job. And you got to accept it or quit and go do your own thing, because that's life. If you're working for somebody, you're always managing somebody else's expectations. Just is. Okay. All right. Paula had a great question. What are the top 3 things you do to motivate your BDRs? So this is as a leader. The first is what I just said before, which is that you got to know who the person is. You got to know the person that you're dealing with. What are their motivations? What do they care? Why are they an SDR? Should they even be an SDR in the first place? Do they really want to get in sales? Do they want to go into marketing? What do they want to do? Man, I love this. John, Chris, I love you guys. Thanks for jumping in here and dropping these questions, right? For all of you out there who are trying to make that leap, go check the comments, right? Other people would be successful in the same way I was. Yep, I agree. John, that was a tough one. That was a really tough one for me too. I think, man, here I am, 14 years later from that first experience, something like that. And I still think that can be a tough one. It's sometimes that I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to finish the top 3 things for Paula. So understand what motivates them and where they're trying to go with their career. That to me is step 1. Step 2, lead by example. I'm looking to all my sales leaders out there, all my SDR sales leaders. If your ass won't pick up the phone and make the cold calls, you're done. No credibility. You don't need to be the best at it, but you got to lead by example. I think SDR roles in particular, they need to know that Jake or Kyle or John or Paula is a badass. Because when you give them advice, if they see you do it, they see you walk the walk, not just talk the talk, then they'll go and do it too. If you tell them cold calls are important, but you're not getting on the phone and showing them, that's why they're not making calls. That's why they're not making calls. Talk the talk. Talkity talk. Talk about what they should do. Why aren't you doing it? You're telling them to use LinkedIn and you haven't posted in a year? Wow, I wonder why they're not doing it. Wonder why they're not doing it. Lip service. You got to walk the walk. I think for an SDR role, it's more critical than ever. Okay, so you walk the walk, you invest in the person, up leveling and training, meaning like I'm really for me, I think that's it too. Is like you got to constantly be up leveling SDRs. Like if I was an SDR, again, I would be studying the game too. I'd be reading sales books. Or leadership, whatever my next path was. Too many people, this is a point I was going to make later, but there's only one person in the world, in the universe, who's responsible for your career development, and it's you. And either you're running your life either you're taking ownership of your career and you're building your own path, you're taking care of your own development, or you're sitting around waiting to be picked like a magical flower. And life does not usually pick. Again, what I love, John's story, right? He did it because he became visible, right? They believed in him, right? And as he got more and more successful, they came and they selected him. But for a lot of you, if you want to move up more aggressively, you got to stop waiting around for someone to develop you. You better be going to develop yourself. You know, when I was 28, wait, when did career? It must have been 2007 or 2008. It was right before like the meltdown. It had to have been like summer of 2000. Actually, yeah, it's probably early 2008. So like it hadn't hit the fan. My company, Career Builder, rolled out a program that if you applied, and I think only, you know, it's like a few people a year, they would pay for your MBA program for free. I was a frontline sales manager. Okay. I went to Missouri State. It took me 5.5 years to graduate from Missouri State. I realized I learned nothing, right? Not nothing. I learned stuff, but I learned very little. And I wanted to grow. I wanted to learn what an executive thinks like, etc. So guess what? I put in for it and I got it. They paid for me to get an MBA. I went to school for 18 months straight. 10 to 15 hours a week, no breaks, no summer, no winter, nothing. Why did I get an MBA? Made no sense. I was a frontline sales manager, but let me tell you why I got my MBA, okay? This goes back to, it doesn't matter at what point you are in your career. I always say this, you need to be thinking about your next step. Are you doing the things today to prepare you for the professional you're going to be two jobs from now? You don't wait. You start now. That's why I got my MBA. Sure enough, 2 years later, maybe not even a year and a half later, Glassdoor comes knocking. Hey, Jake, we're hiring a director of sales. Okay, well, let's see what Jake's done. He's been a successful leader. He's been a successful enterprise seller. He has an MBA, right? I don't know if the MBA helped me get the job or not. I don't know. I'm sure it helped, as opposed to having a 2.98 from Missouri State and having an MBA from Arizona State. But it was all the things together. I prepped. My career has been intentional. Until then, I got fired for the second time and realized I needed a new career, but I'll get into that one later. But I think too many people, when you want to make the move up, stop waiting around. You know, Paula, you and I have had a bunch of conversations digitally. If you want great leadership, for me, and if you want to work for a great leader, I think about what are the skills I want that person to work with me on. Great, I'm going to find a leader like that. But in the meantime, I'm going to go read a bunch of books. Here's where I think I am deficient. That's what you have to become a master of. I think to really to move quickly is to be able to judge yourself and your skill sets without judgment. Let me say that again, maybe it's slightly different. You need to be able to look at your flaws and weaknesses, where you're strong and where you're not, without judgment here of you suck, I can't do this, you suck. Okay? Yes, Newton, 100%. It's all the same, man. Discovery is discovery. Okay? So there we go. I don't know. I got off on a tangent there. I don't even know where I was going with that last one. So John, Chris, these are great. These are really great advice for everyone wanting to jump into leadership. I love this. Yep. Aaron, you're 100% right. You've got to invest. You have to, again, but I'm not leaving it up to somebody else. I'm not just leaving it up to chance that someone, I mean, again, I do have a little bit of that now where I'm like, you know, life will kind of work out how it works out, but I'm also not going to sit around and wait for it, you know? Yeah, George, I love that. George called out the, you know, again, leading from the front. Let me tell you a story about not leading from the front. This is a good one. There was an AVP at a company that I worked at, and he's talking about cold calls. He wanted to prove a point. He cold calls, the person picks up, he goes, hangs up. What do you think that did to his credibility? He hung up. He didn't think they were going to answer. And I think then he redeemed himself later, but I think he was trying to make a point and didn't know it was going to happen. So that was crazy. Let's see, for their teams as well. Gap reps appreciate this. Yep, that's 100. Yes, exact. John, agreed. That's right. And John, just so you know, whenever I managed my first team, you know, I knew I was in it for the long haul. I knew, look, I had what I had, and I knew that I was going to need to add some players and get rid of some players. You know, it's like the sport. You can use a sports analogy if you're not, but I came in, I assessed the situation, and then guess what? I became the team because what I started to do is I went and mentored the down channel top reps. The top reps were in the business unit below. I started mentoring the top ones. And then guess who got all the top reps coming up? Me. That wasn't in my job description. I didn't get compensated. That was for my own development, right? That's why we're the number one company, number one out of 25 inside sales team in percent to quota 2 years in a row. Because I built that bench and I took a long-term, I knew it was going to take me a year to turn the team around, or 6 to 12 months it took about 9 months to turn the team around, where we had the right people, we were moving forward, etc. But as a leader, you've got to have that mindset. You got what you got whenever you inherit a team, and then you're looking to constantly move. And I like to, the best analogy I heard is, it's like, if you follow baseball or not, you could use any sport, but a sales team is like a baseball team. You've got a 1-hitter, and they're really good at getting on base, hitting singles. You've got a 4-hitter who hits home runs and closes nothing but big deals. You've got an 8-hitter who, is going to hit quota, hit quota 2 months, miss it 2 months, hit quota, but they're okay. And that's what the normal. Anyone who says that they only hire A players is full of shit, because everyone's definition of an A player is different. Again, Johnny gets a ton of smaller deals in, he's an A player. Rachel closes mid-sized to big deals and she gets there, she's an A player. So I think just think out loud, think about your sales organization like that your teammates, they're not all going to be the same. They're not all the same as you, etc. All right. So keep the questions coming. All you leaders out there who are dropping advice, John, George, John, Chris, appreciate you all for hopping in the comments, getting involved. Let's take a couple more questions. So let's see what time we got here. Oh, it's about 11:40. Yeah, we got time for maybe a couple more questions. The next thing that I'll do is I'll address kind of my leap from like leader to VP. And I'll tell you more about the mistakes that I made than anything, because I think it could be helpful for some folks. So the big learning for me from that leap was the things to be successful that you need to become a VP. The first one, okay. Here it is. To be a VP, you need to, and again, if you're a VP now or a senior director, drop your own comments here. Have a repeatable process. If you do not have a repeatable process, how can you build a sales organization around it? You can hire us. We can come in and help you to do that, which is great too. So either that, have a repeatable process, or hire scaled. Those are your two choices. But if you have a framework that you're familiar with, then it allows you to much more easily know what the types of reps that are going to be successful, how to train and onboard, and makes that faster and faster and faster. So to me, to be a VP, I think you need to know, have a repeatable motion. And again, whether you borrowed that motion or whether you implemented it, it doesn't really matter. You just need to have it, right? So that to me is number one. Number two is, what was I going to say? Looking at John's comment here. Managing across groups. Okay. This is what I sucked at. Okay. So the other thing to know in your VP is it's your job to manage across groups. You need to create amazing relationships with finance, with product, with marketing, etc. Okay. This is where I sucked, like bad, right? And so for me, when you become a VP, you have to be okay at this. And if anything, I think the problem with sales, maybe this is myself, maybe I should make generalities, is, and maybe it's culture of how I was raised in sales, sales is the golden goose, right? Like in a B2B company, you're closing all the deals, you're making it happen. And so sometimes you can push a little harder than you probably should. Now, granted, I was 31 when I got promoted to be VP. Okay, I was mentally mature enough, meaning like I was smart enough, but emotionally I was not good enough. Meaning I definitely went toe to toe, like face to face with our legal in front of like everybody. He was in the wrong, in my humble opinion, but I could have walked away too. So I just think as you move up, just understand that you have to do a better job of working across groups. So Craig, yeah, situational leadership. I think that there's a whole, like, just Google it. There's a lot of opportunities. John talked about how his last leadership role was a disaster, and that's, for me, John, it was kind of the opposite. I almost had too much free reign. Sometimes as a VP of sales at an early stage startup, they're like, yeah, you just figure it out. No direction. And so I didn't know when I was like not course correcting. John saw some advice. Don't know how much time you want to spend on your weaknesses. I've found it better to work on what you love and are great at. I think, John, for me, I think of this as rounding corners, meaning I'm not ever going to be amazing at Excel, but being really good at Excel is a prerequisite, I think, to be a CEO of the job that I have now. And if I wasn't okay at it, and that's just me. Like, for me, I like to just, I don't want to be perfect. Like, there's a level of proficiency I don't want to achieve with a lot of my weaknesses, but I do think that it's getting them to a level of to where it's no longer hurting you. Maybe is a better way to put it, but I like that. I like that call out there, John. There used to be a lot of neuroscience. They've actually debunked some of this, which is, there's a book called Now Discover Your Strengths that came out. I'll just sidebar for a little bit. And they said, basically, there's this research that shows after a certain age, we stop growing neurons, neural pathways, and neural connections. It's turned out to be completely false. We absolutely do. But what isn't false is that the things that are our strengths, our default, the neurons become wrapped in more and more myelin, which is basically fat. And so your brain does execute those things faster, but we do grow. Your brain does continue to grow for forever, just so you know, even old people. So fast fact there. You didn't know that I was also a biology buff of some type. So look, I haven't seen any more questions come in. That's a little bit about my story, my path, right? From, rep to frontline leader to VP. If there's another question, I'll hang out for another minute or so. If everyone has any other advice about this. But we started to talk about the career development piece. And I think that that's a really big one, is making sure that, again, you're owning your own career development. And I hope maybe this awoke something in some of you to really think about that. Do you have your own plan? Are you carving out time to work on you that's outside of work hours? You can't rely on your work to give you all your professional development. It's not going to happen for you. It's not going to be good. Okay. The other thing, and this is where I need your help. So on the 21st, a week from Thursday, we are doing a whole new rebrand. Okay. You know what? All right. Stay put, everybody. I'm going to give you all a sneak peek at the new scale, but you got to hold on. And I'm only going to do it for a second here because my marketing or brand person will not be excited, but I'll show you. And if you help out, if you're willing to help out and share, maybe what I'll do is I'll do a quick giveaway, potentially. I'll do a quick giveaway for that. So Paula, top 2 books. Tell me what topic. Drop in the comments what topic, and then I'll tell you my top 2 books. Because depending on the topic, right, might have different recommendations. All right, here we go. Let's see. Here you go. All right, here we go. I'm going to share it with you. This is where we're headed. This is the future. All right, I'm going to show you all real quick here. Oh, oops. Yeah. Oh, sorry. All right, so this is it. Y'all can tell me what you think. Well, it doesn't really matter. This is what's happening. So as we've leveled up as a company, we're starting to continue to grow as an organization. This is the look of the swag. Let me see if I've got a website picture. I might not have one. So this little thing is gonna basically form some dot patterns. You're gonna see a lot about us talking about the create the future of sales, which is where all of you come in. Okay, is to help us create the future of sales. So this is it. You're the first people outside of Scaled to see what the new Scaled is gonna look like. Consider yourselves lucky. That's it. That's all I can show you. Jeff, our designer, would kill me if he knew that I was even doing that, but that's where we're headed. Okay. And so on the 21st, if you are down to help us, we're just going to basically, I'm asking people to share on LinkedIn a story about their thoughts on the future of sales or things that they'd like to see or trends, and just with the hashtag create the future. So that's it. Create the future. Share your best, but if you don't mind, if you're into it, just DM me. Just shoot me a quick DM after this. Jake, I'd love to help out in just kind of spreading the word. And for all of you that do that, I'll have a very special surprise for you. But that's what we're planning on. September 21st, mark your calendar, hashtag create the future. You can go share on your own too. Just mark it on the 21st to share with that hashtag. And then if you're interested in helping us a little bit more with that, I would more than take you up on it, more than appreciate it. If you want to help us out a little bit more. Paula, you don't need to buy a hoodie. If you help out, then I will get you one. Top 2 leadership books to read if you're brand new to leadership. The first, Jack Welch, Winning. Just like it says, Jack Welch, Winning. Think what you want about Jack Welch. I think it taps into a lot of learning how to lead authentically. Yes, that's right. Authentically. Lead authentically. There's a ton of other books. That one just always pops up top of mind. There's an old book called Management. What is it? Management Without Punishment. It's an old book. It's really boring, but it's got some very good tactics, because I think a lot of times with leadership, there's that fine line between how do you get performance out of people and how do you, without punishing them. So that's what it's called. Management Without Punishment. I think that's what it's called. So, all right, Craig, you're down. I love it. Paula, I know you're down. I gotcha. So anyone else, DM me. I really appreciate you guys. So those are my 2 books. Jack Welch, Winning, Management Without Punishment. It's something like that. I'm butchering it. But if you Google it, Google is smarter than I am, and it will tell you. So that, my friends, that's my career advice for today. I hope you got some takeaways. If you have any other career advice, maybe you're too nervous to share. Maybe your boss is on the live too. So you're like, oh man, I don't want to share because what if Jake, what if my boss sees this? Feel free to DM me as always. And we'll see you all Friday morning for the recap. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Appreciate you.